watching CBS 8 Mornings at 6.
Good morning, everyone. 6 o'clock on our Wednesday morning, and we begin with this. A tsunami advisory has just been canceled along our coastline after an 8.8 magnitude earthquake hit Russia. That quake is tied for the 6th strongest ever recorded. You're looking at a live look from our photographer Julio out at Scripps Pier this morning.
And now this morning, Hawaii and parts of Japan have downgraded tsunami warnings to advisories now. So far, no major damage has been reported, but the risk does continue of higher waves.
Take a look at this map showing you where the earthquake hit in Russia and parts of the U.S. and Japan that could be impacted. This, of course, has been all the talk over the last 12 hours. Thank you for joining us here at the 6 o'clock hour. I'm Evan Narani.
And I'm Netta Irampour. Yeah, we want to answer all the questions that you've been asking us here. Meteorologist Vanessa Paz joining us this morning. The advisory being canceled. Good news, kind of a relief for a lot of people, right?
Yeah, at the top of the 5 o'clock hour, it was still in effect for all of San Diego and Orange counties. And then as of about 5:43, National Weather Service gave us an update that it had been canceled. So no longer a threat. But that's not to say that we're not still dealing with some minor sea level changes, especially when it comes to our immediate coast. But as of right now, yeah, San Diego pretty much all in the clear. That's not to say parts of California are not still dealing with that tsunami advisory. In fact, all of those areas, which is majority, bulk of California is still under a tsunami advisory. But again, depending on what is recorded at the buoys and at those reported stations, that could very well change this morning as well. All right, strong currents still expected along some of our harbors and bays for several hours. So you wanted to remain mindful and always be cautious if you're hanging out along the beaches for the next few days. Never turn your back on the water. I always remind that to folks, especially when it comes to high storm surge or those king tides. The waves are very small, in fact, nearly flat, 1 to 2 feet, and the rip current risk, again, because of the tsunami advisory that we were just under, is still going to remain at a high level. All right, let's go ahead and switch gears and give you a live look outside. We're under mostly clear skies. We are dealing with reduced visibility, especially along those areas that hug the 15, including Fallbrook. They're down to 0 miles of viz. And we're also seeing patchy fog in Miramar, Kearney Mesa, as well as Otay Mesa. All right, so once again, if you're just waking up, the tsunami advisory has been canceled. Tsunamis are rare here in San Diego, and we have CBS 8's Regina Urita, who is live in Oceanside with how people, in fact, most of San Diego, how they all reacted last night. Hey, Regina.
Hey, good morning, Vanessa. That's right. And look, at this time, we're starting to see more people actually heading towards the pier as would they come by and ask us, right, what is the latest on the tsunami. So it's good to hear that that tsunami advisory has been canceled for the coastal areas here in San Diego County, including the Orange County area. We've been monitoring our coastal area since yesterday afternoon through the overnight hours. Right now, we're not seeing any strong and unusual currents. Wave heights also seem to be normal. San Diego, like most parts of the West Coast, was under that tsunami advisory, but again, it has been canceled. Our photographers went from Oceanside to La Jolla to see if there were any significant impacts overnight. Again, everything seemed to be okay. No damages to any of the piers. The advisory, though, was sent out yesterday afternoon after an 8.8 magnitude earthquake struck the coast of Russia. Hawaii and parts of Japan were under a tsunami warning, but have since been downgraded to an advisory, with Hawaii lifting evacuation orders across the state. Now, again, the rarity of this tsunami advisory was what caused lots of reaction around San Diego County. It is really comes as a shock to know that there was a tsunami advisory that was implemented by the National Weather Service and, of course, the Navy yesterday. So just take a listen to some of that reaction that was flooding in yesterday.
On vacation, I was like, I don't know, it's probably not going to happen, 50-50 chance, but I see like a lot of people talking about it, kind of getting a little worried now.
I don't believe until I see it.
I'm going to be hanging out here till about 9:30, and if it's going to hit, then I was told to just go up this road back here.
Definitely to look at the news stations, go on the web and see what the recommendations were, what the advisories were.
We are very far away, and it has to go a long ways, and a lot of the energy will dissipate from the wave going across the Pacific.
And you're looking at a live look here of the Oceanside Pier, seeing several people here on this pier enjoying their morning walk, enjoying those waves. It seems to be calm at this moment, but of course, it's always important to stay vigilant and of course to stay cautious. We'll be monitoring this area all morning long, and of course, if anything changes, if any details come from this new development, we'll let you guys know. But for now, I'm Regina Urita, CBS 8.
Yeah, that's pretty terrifying to go through. Russia's 8.8 magnitude earthquake is now tied for the 6th strongest ever recorded. It was the strongest anywhere in the world since March of 2011. These are new videos coming into our newsroom here from overnight. Look at that destruction. Reports of injuries and damaged buildings in that area of Russia. The front of a kindergarten building, that's what you're seeing there, collapsed. But reportedly no children were inside at that time. Russian authorities have canceled their tsunami warnings.
A tsunami hit coastal areas of Japan overnight. Parts of the country have downgraded their tsunami warnings to advisories, but some warnings remain in effect, and officials say bigger waves could come later on today.
And it was a rush to evacuate in Hawaii. So many people all of a sudden are being told to leave. This is new time-lapse video of the traffic. So you'll notice all those cars there downtown Honolulu yesterday. Officials held a news conference to warn people last night. Listen.
People should not, and I will say it one more time, should not, as we have seen in the past, stay around the shoreline or risk their lives just to see what a tsunami looks like. It is not a regular wave. It will actually kill you if you get hit by a tsunami. So you have to be out of that area.
Quite the warning to hear there, right? Of course, that's why a lot of people were leaving. Our Marcella Lee spoke to a CBS 8 viewer who is vacationing in Kona, Hawaii, and had to leave.
Tracy Akers was at the beach with her family when they heard the tsunami warning go off, first on their phones, and then shortly after, tsunami sirens.
I was really impressed that the lifeguards made everyone get out of the water, and it was like lots of locals were there, and I was very impressed that everyone just got out, and they were like, you're not keeping us safe. We need to be safe too. We all need to leave. And I was impressed with that. And then the cops started going around and making sure, people are leaving.
Glad to hear there. She was safe and impressed with that process of how they managed it. Again, Hawaii's tsunami warning has now been downgraded from an advisory. And that's where we want to check in with CBS 8's Vanessa Paz this morning. She has more on what the last couple hours have looked like, whether you're here or across the California coast. I mean, there's so much going on and so much concern, I think, that people are still feeling. So what should people...
It's rare, right, for us?
Right, exactly.
And it also looks like a lot of local residents are heeding those warnings. They're staying away from the coastline. We've been seeing live looks outside from the Scripps Pier, and this is a live look towards Crystal Pier out in Pacific Beach. And it looks like, again, it is pretty empty in terms of a crowd or even people go when it comes to those walking around the coastline this morning. The tsunami advisory, in case you're just tuning in, it has been canceled for all of San Diego and Orange counties. That's not to say we're not still expecting strong rip currents for some of our beaches. The good news for all of this is that the waves are fairly small. I mean, we're talking 1 to 2 feet. Had they been bigger or had we been dealing with king tide, it could be a completely different story. But again, we are talking about the epicenter of this earthquake about over 6,000 miles away. So yeah, those waves have to travel very far, and Hawaii, the impacts of the Hawaii Islands would have been a very good indicator in terms of the impacts for us here across the coastal California and Pacific Northwest. So thankfully everyone is okay at last check, but that's not to say that you should still heed those warnings depending on where you are, and use a lot of caution if you are hanging along the beaches today. All right, the rip current risk also at a high level, so if you're wondering if you should maybe paddle out, especially if you're inexperienced, maybe you stay out of the water for the next couple of days. Switching gears, let's go ahead and take a look at our satellite and radar composite. We are once again seeing that marine layer spill well into the inland valleys this morning. It is hindering visibility for some spots, especially those waking up in Fallbrook. I saw it reduced earlier in Miramar, Kearney Mesa. It looks like it's improving as we're getting through the morning, but the worst of it is just stuck near the Riverside San Diego County border lines. As you approach Fallbrook, let's say from Temecula, you may run into some of that dense fog. This is a live look from our UCSD Scripps campus picture, and you can see those overcast conditions, pretty hazy out there. Over the next 12 hours, we will climb into the mid-70s around the 2-3 o'clock time, specifically when that warmth peaks for the inland areas. We can expect daytime highs pretty comparable to yesterday, but a few degrees warmer. A lot of areas like El Cajon, Santee, and Alpine could very well reach daytime highs in the low 90s. That is usual for this time of the morning, and then things simmer down a little bit towards the end of the week, and we'll talk more about that a little later. All right, it is 6:10 on the dot. Let's go ahead and switch gears and talk about your drives as we give you a live look outside. This is the 805 coming out of the South Bay, right side of your screen, as that drive headed northbound in from Chula Vista. Things aren't too plugged up. It's usually pretty slow for this time of the morning, but it looks like we're at full freeway speeds anywhere between 65-70 miles per hour or so. Same deal traveling in from Santee as well as the La Mesa area. No major issues nor delays, and I'm not tracking any major slowing out of Oceanside nor Escondido. Travel times are still pretty nice as well, anywhere between 10 to 15 minutes. That's typically what we average in from the South Bay headed northbound. Full span of the bridge, average speeds 45 miles per hour, under 5 minutes to get you from downtown towards the toll booth. 5 to 7 minutes for all of those drives westbound, including the 94, the 8, as well as the 52 in from Santee. And here's a quick look at the drives in from the North County, Encinitas to the top of the Golden Triangle, under 30 minutes, under 15 from Escondido down to the 163 merge, and about 15 inbound from Nordal to Oceanside. All right, let's go ahead and give you a look at your border wait times. Inbound from the San Ysidro Port of Entry, an hour, about an hour and a half if you're traveling in from Otay Mesa.